Everybody always wants to know what we tow our fifth wheel with, and this is it. This is our truck, and everybody always has questions about it, so we figured today we'd do a video about the truck and try to answer some of those questions. Alright, so our truck is a 2016 Ram 3500 heavy duty. It's got the 6.7 Cummins, and here are 8 things we think you should consider when choosing your tow vehicle.
Oh, the bird did it just for our video. Look at that. That's all right. It wasn't exactly clean to begin with.
No, there was a little bit of mud, but there wasn't bird crap. All right, so first, you want to find out what your truck can do and if your RV fits inside of it. You will have your sticker that says all the things about it. So 16,460 loaded is what we are. Give or take, you know, sometimes that is more or less, depending on how spicy you want to make things.
So when it comes to what's first, the tow vehicle or the RV is definitely first.
Right, because the RV will tell you what kind of truck you need. I mean, you can get your truck first. Your truck will just tell you what kind of RV you can get.
Yeah.
And that will severely limit what you can tow.
I guess we should unlock it.
Your truck will also have one of those stickers. Sometimes it's here on your jam, sometimes it's down there. Ours happens to be right here. Tells you your axle weighting on the front, the rear, so 6,000, 7,000. It should say the gross vehicle weight rating right there, 12,300 pounds. So that's with people, stuff in the bed, and the weight of the trailer in the bed as well. A lot of times too, if you have a truck in mind and you're just not sure what it's capable of, if you're talking to a dealership or even a private seller, you can ask for the VIN number, and you can call a dealership, give them the VIN number, and they should be able to look up all of its exact towing specifications. So the next thing to consider is the gross vehicle axle rating. So this is how much weight your axle is able to hold up safely. So our rear is 7,000 pounds. It doesn't mean that you can put 7,000 pounds in your bed. It just means that with the weight, because weight up here from the front will also transfer to the back, and weight from the back will also transfer to the front once the load is on there. So having it evenly distributed, so making sure the weight is directly over the axle versus behind or in front of the axle, because sometimes your fifth wheel hitches can be moved forward and back. You don't want that to be, you want it to be above the axle, not in front of or behind it. So you also need to take into consideration everything you put inside of the truck. People, car seats, dogs. If you have an in-bed fuel tank to get that extra range, counts towards the amount of weight that your truck is able to move around safely. The more things you put in there, the less you're able to do. There are 3 different types of towing you can do. So one is your bumper down there, and then the other 2 are in the bed, which is gooseneck, which would just be a ball in the center, or the fifth wheel, which is that hitch right there, which is more comparable to like what you would see on a semi-truck, an 18-wheeler. When it comes to choosing your camper, your RV, based on the vehicle that you already have, a lot of times most of these newer trucks will come with a system installed in them. Ram has the puck system, which is just, there's 4 levers and you just flip those out and then the hitch will lift right out. And then in the center, the ball just drops right in. When we talk about, I guess, the towing suitability is how easy is it to get a hitch into the bed of your truck. Sometimes if your truck is not necessarily designed for that, you may have to drill holes in the floor of the bed of your truck in order to install a fifth wheel hitch in there. So having your 7-way plug inside the bed also makes that a little bit easier, so you don't have to worry about your power cord just hanging out over the bed or the hitch down here somewhere. So another topic when it comes to towing suitability is dual rear wheel or single rear wheel. Is your trailer heavy enough that you need that extra wheel? So for us, that would take us from a 7,000 pound axle to a 9,000 pound axle. That doesn't necessarily include your vehicle's gross vehicle weight rating. So for us, it would still be 12,300 pounds, but we could technically put more of that weight in the bed versus if we had the single rear wheel. So for us, the single rear wheel was our choice because it makes it easier to get around town. It makes it easier for us to fit into parking spots and things like that. And our trailer's not so heavy that we had to have that extra towing capacity in the back. So the next thing to consider is your engine power and torque. Like I mentioned earlier, we have the 6.7 liter Cummins, which is turbocharged, and it makes around 400 horsepower and just under 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. So significantly more than a gasoline engine. Ford makes an F-350 with a 7.1 liter gasoline engine that makes 400 and a half horsepower, but only 400 and some foot-pounds of torque, which is nearly half of what this Cummins can do. So if you were to drive around in the mountains, I think you would miss that extra 500 foot-pounds of torque. The engine is bigger, it's a lot heavier, and the weight of your engine also takes away from your vehicle's towing capacity. So that is something to consider as well when choosing your truck and trailer. But I know a lot of people want diesel when they're towing their giant fifth wheels. So for us, it's been great. We haven't had any issues with it. You know, there's a big debate on if you should be, Power Stroke, Cummins, or Duramax, but we've had good luck with our Cummins, and yeah, it's been good for us. Let me know in the comments which one you guys like. Let's start the debate. Next on the list is suspension and braking. If you're buying a 1-ton truck, the suspension and the braking is basically going to be there. That's all pretty much there from the factory. It's all very stout and built to tow. So one of the things, we didn't add this, it came with our truck, but one of the things we have is airbags on the rear axle here. And technically the truck doesn't need it, but it just helps to level the load. So once the weight is in the bed and the rear of the truck starts to sag a little bit, we can put some air in the airbags to lift that back up, which then transports a little bit of that weight onto the front axle and off the rear, which helps a lot. We've driven without the airbags. We've driven with the airbags aired up too much. We've driven with the airbags not aired up enough, which you kind of have to do to figure out, where your airbags need to be for your trailer and your suspension setup. So for us, it's about 45 pounds in both bags, and that gives us the smoothest, comfiest ride with our trailer. Next is the bed configuration and length. So we have the 8-foot bed. I'm glad we have it because when you're making tight turns, the cap of your fifth wheel tends to get very close to the cab of the truck. And so having the 8-foot bed with that little bit of extra room in between the cab and the cap of the trailer has been life-saving or cap-saving. It's been really great. We also have more room up the front to put things. I always have a gas can, a couple gas cans of diesel and gasoline back there. Extra jug of death because you never know. And it doesn't really take up any extra room. So it's been really nice. It is a little bit more difficult to park. You get less turn radius when you're just around town with your truck and things like that. But in my opinion, small price to pay for being able to make really sharp turns with your RV hitched up. So another important thing is the interior and the seating situation inside the truck. You know how many people you're going to have in there if you have pets, that sort of thing. So for us, when we were looking, we had to get the Laramie body package for the Ram because rear seat flips up, but in every other body style except for the Laramie, the whole seat flips up. So we needed a seat that only one side would flip up, and the middle seat and the passenger seat would stay down so that we could get our two dogs in. So we've been traveling. Kids have been in there, the dogs have been in there, so it's dirty, it's messy, but we'll still let you look inside. Right now we have the two-seater part flipped up and the single seat flipped down. We're traveling with our second car right now, so the dogs get extra space right now. Emerson's with me and Nora's with Melody. The last thing to consider is your budget. And honestly, this is just personal preference. When we were looking, it was 2021 and trucks were still outrageous. And so honestly, like we pretty much just took the first one we found because these were just flying out of the lots and just couldn't find one. So we bought a 2016. These big trucks are pricey. They cost a lot of money. Consider that some of these older diesel trucks will do just as good as the new ones. These diesel engines last a very, very long time. So that was our truck in a nutshell. If you guys have any questions or anything you want to add to that, just let us know in the comments. Picking your truck is a pretty big deal. You need to be safe when you're towing your house around. So make sure you do your research and that you feel comfortable with what you bought. And remember, if you enjoy this type of content, please like, subscribe, and share.